Hello, I'm Nabil A. Khan, and welcome to ET Auto Big Bite, a show that brings industry top leaders. Today, this is a very interesting interaction, and I'm telling you, the superstar of the automotive industry across the slowdown that we faced, the crisis we faced due to the pandemic, one superstar has emerged is the tractor segment. And we have here with us the protagonist of this superstar, uh, Mahindra and Mahindra Tractor Division President, Mr. Hemant Sikka. Thank you so much, Mr. Sikka, for joining in. My first question: how does it feel leading a superstar? Right now, if you look at the entire automotive value chain, tractor segment is one that has been doing consistently good. Even if you look at the last few months, growth rate, it has been 30 to 40% of growth rate. How does it feel, and how much do you expect it to continue?
So Nabil, great to connect with you, and it's a pleasure to be here on this forum with you. As you rightly said, tractor industry has been firing on all cylinders. This was a very challenging year. COVID is once in 100-year kind of event, and to have tractor industry lead the entire automotive industry, this is absolutely a great feeling. Very happy to be participating in the tractor industry, and let me tell you that the team, Mahindra team and the Swaraj team is also equally excited to be part of this industry. There are various factors, and as we start talking, we'll discuss on various factors what led to this kind of stupendous growth. But clearly, to agree with you would be an understatement. Clearly, tractor has been the star of the automotive industry. So very happy to be here.
Mr. Sikka, just want to understand, it can give us a lot of understanding of the Indian rural economy or rural market. The way it has turned out the tractor sales. Even look at the automobile industry, when two-wheeler is largely, motorcycle is largely a rural markets phenomena. There also we saw the fatigueness or the downturn lesser compared to the scooter segment, which is more of an urban. So can you give us a sense what kind of understanding you get from the rural economy, that the tractor segment remained bullish, the sales was there, demand continued to be there even after 9-10 months of the pandemic?
You are absolutely right, Nabil. This whole year, tractor industry has led the whole automotive industry, and it is because of very strong rural growth that we are seeing. So it is being said that Bharat is leading India. And that's absolutely true, because we have seen that even while the lockdown happened, all the urban centers and the big cities had huge amount of cases. The cases were growing very rapidly, and the lockdowns were very, very tight and severe in large cities. Whereas the rural segment, thank God for that, was relatively untouched because of COVID. There may be various factors, and I'm not an expert on health to tell you why rural area was kind of spared the kind of COVID cases that we saw in the urban areas. But clearly, one of the factors for a very quick rural recovery was very little impact of COVID on these areas. And after that, we have seen that we have had successive rounds of very good crops in the rural areas. We have had now 4 back-to-back Rabi and Kharif crops, which are outstanding. The monsoon has been very, very good for us. This is the first year after 1959. That means first time in last 60 years that we have had a above normal back-to-back 2 years monsoon. It has never happened in last 60 years. So with this kind of monsoon growth, with relatively less impact of COVID on rural areas, very good crops, both Rabi and Kharif. And let me also here mention the role of the government. I think the government has been very proactive in supporting a rural area, and I will talk data to support what I'm saying. First of all, the unlockdown happened with the rural areas. If you remember, while the lockdown started on 22nd of March, we were seeing that by about middle of April, the rural areas had actually started getting some concessions, because agri is a very, very essential activity for all of us. And we saw that our dealership actually started doing servicing of our tractors and implements by middle of April. And by early May, I would say that the tractor sales had also started. So to that level, I think the government really helped, the local administration in these villages and small towns really helped to start the process of some level of economic activity. And that was so crucial that time, because the whole crop harvesting was happening, and these crops after harvesting had to be taken to these procurement areas, where the government then set up very strong token systems, practicing social distancing, so that the farmers can actually register online, bring a token, and sell their crops. So the procurement happened in a very, very smooth way. I'm talking all of this in the last May kind of time frame. And that is how the whole rural cash flow started to improve. Very thankful that we had a bounty monsoon last year. And the monsoon was, 109% of the LPA last year, which is a very significant growth over that. So you had very good unlockdown conditions, very good harvesting and procurement, good price realization. Last year, if you see the price realization for the farmer on an average was about 12% higher than the previous year. So very good cropping, and then you have very good procurement, very good cash flows, high prices, good monsoon. Tell me, I mean, the farmer is like feeling top of the world. And when the farmer feels happy, he feels confident, he would always go out and put his money on the most important thing that is there for a farmer, which is to own a tractor. A tractor is like a family member for a farmer. And whenever they are feeling good, whenever they have cash flows, they would always put their money where it is the most critical aspect for their livelihoods, which is a tractor. So that's how the whole tractor industry started rolling. And obviously then, we are also, since we are the market leader with both our Mahindra and Swaraj brand, loved by our farmers. Obviously, Mahindra has done very well.
So, Mr. Sikka, we have seen that traditionally rural economy was largely dependent on agriculture, agri-based economy, which seems to be changing a bit. A lot of MSMEs, a lot of small-scale companies are also operating from, rural side. Do you think those kind of opportunity have also helped you bettering the situation in the rural market?
Namil, completely agree with you. So when I talk about rural economy, I am not only talking about agri. Rural is more than agri. As you rightly said, it is agri plus. So earlier it used to be agri, but now it has got much wider implications for our overall GDP. If you look at just one data point, I want to share with you that the last year, as you saw that many of the rural folks who works in these large towns and metros started going home, because the large towns were all under severe lockdown. And when these people started going back, the government took a very proactive step and said, okay, since these people are going back, they have to be employed back in their villages. And that is why the Manrega spend last year had a massive increase. It was 1.1 lakh crore of outlay was given for Manrega. Now, this is all money going into the hands of people, and all this work, public work started getting done in these rural areas. So all this is helping. It's not only agri, it is a lot of agri plus, where you talk about the whole milk production, lot of other things happening on the rural side. Rural infrastructure started improving. Manrega helped in doing all of that. So I think it is a combinations of all of this, which is helping the whole rural development go ahead. And if you see, we internally track a data of the 10 largest states in India, and we found that the government spending in rural development, and mind you, I'm not saying agri development, I'm saying rural development, in last year was 20% more than their growth rate in the urban development. So clearly the government is also focusing more on the rural areas compared to other sectors of the economy, and that is all helping the whole rural sentiment. And that's why you are seeing tractor industry on steroids, and similarly motorcycle, as you rightly said, is also doing very well. And you talk to FMCG people, even they will tell you that their growth rates in rural areas are faster than the growth rates what they are seeing in urban areas.
So can you tell us, give us a sense, how do you see the FY 2020 in terms of numbers for tractor industry? What's your outlook?
FY21, which is 2020 and 2021, the financial year that we are currently going through, has been a very, very good year. We are looking at a 20% plus growth rate for the industry in this year. So obviously, this is a very, very good year, Nabil, for us.
What about 2022, the next year? This year is almost ending now. Of course, it is one of the best year for you.
You tell me how the monsoon will pan out and I'll give you a number. But till the time we get early first estimates of monsoon, which usually we get by early April, I think we will have a better idea. Overall, we expect the industry to do well, and I'll tell you why. The reason is that even today, when we are talking about the sowing for the current crop, I mean, it is very good. It is 3% more than last year and 7% more than the average of last 10 years. So overall, the current sowing is also going very well. The last crops procurement has happened again very smoothly with very good price realization. So we are hoping that when the next harvest happens in the month of April, again, it will help farmers get more cash flows. So if that is followed by a good monsoon, I think the industry will look at a very good growth again in FY22.
Thank you. Let me take you to the recent statement by Union Minister of Road Transport, Mr. Nitin Gadkari. He said that CNG could be an option for tractors. How do you see this? Or even biogas could be an option, but biogas, how can you power a tractor? Is there a method where you can store biogas and you can power your tractors? Is it possible?
CNG is a very good option, clearly, but I will just like to give a little bit more detail on the CNG part. See, in CNG, you can have two solutions to go with. One is clearly a mono fuel solution, which is only CNG. And the other is a dual fuel, where you have a small diesel tank and a CNG tank. So you can
Hybrid kind of structure.
so you can do both. So my feeling is that if you have to do both, it is better for the farmer, because then on a purely mono fuel, he cannot run the CNG tank long enough to service his daily requirements. So he will have to go for refill during the day, which is not a good option for him. But if he is for dual fuel, I think the solution can work very well, where he can have diesel as a fallback as soon as the CNG tank is over. But then there are engineering complications on how do you package two fuel tanks on a tractor. You know, the space on any automotive is a very, very prime space that you have to utilize it very well. So that's a challenge, but I think it's an engineering challenge which can be resolved by our engineers. Uh, what other headwinds I see it that, you know, that after some years, even though the government has still not notified, which is the next level of emission norms, which is TREM 5. So TREM 5 cannot be met by the current arrangement of dual fuel, because then you have to have a totally new technology for diesel. So if you're using diesel, even as part of a dual fuel, TREM 5 becomes a challenge. So I think going up to TREM 4, dual fuel will be a very good solution going forward.
So now you have TREM 4 fuel also coming up that is becoming mandatory. How do you see this impacting overall demand? Because it will.
So just to share with your audiences, currently we are in TREM 3A and we have to move to TREM 4 by 1st of October, which is only for 50 HP and above. Okay, so only for that segment it is applicable. I think the industry is very well prepared to go for a very smooth transition, and I don't see any issue for the industry to transition to TREM 4. The TREM 5 notifications are still a work in process, and we are, as a TMA, which is our association, actively engaged with the government, and we will see what are the timelines agreed. My own personal view is that TREM 5 should not be hurried up, and there should be very sufficient timeline given from TREM 4 to TREM 5, because it's a very step change in technology, and our farmers' ecosystem is clearly not ready to right now even talk about it. So that we are in continuous engagement. I think it is still very early days, and I'm sure TMA will take this with the right authorities going forward.
Mr. Sikka, you are the segment leader. You have close to 50% market share in the tractor segment, if I'm not
close
wrong.
to 40% market share.
40%, sorry. Yeah, you have a close to 40% market share. What you do will certainly, help your counterparts in the tractor industry. So if you have to make a choice, electric versus CNG, because we see some of the manufacturers showcasing electric tractors, do you see feasibility of electric tractors in India as of now? Or do you think the hybrid options like CNG plus diesel can be the core answer?
Namil, I would feel that various solutions can coexist. It is not either or kind of a situation. I think all the solutions can coexist. The current diesel solution is also a very robust solution for farming and agriculture. Even that will coexist. Dual fuel, as I just explained, is a very good solution. Electric is still getting the spec formulated, and still a long way to go for electric tractor to come in, because the agri conditions are very different from running an electric car on a smooth tar road. You know that we have different climatic zone, we have different soils, we have different cropping patterns. So electric is some more work to be done even at the speccing stage. But I think all the solutions at some point in time will come in, and will coexist.
Mr. Sikka, one more question. Recently, your joint venture which with Ford was called off. You have quite good exports opportunity also, and when you have a good market in the US and all, where you probably be getting help from Ford. But now I am not sure if that arrangement exists in the tractor space for overseas markets like US.
So, Nabil, our discussion with Ford was always on the auto side. It was never covering the tractor business. So, since this is part of the auto sector thing, we have already gone ahead and communicated with the media on the rationale for not going ahead with the JV. Since this is not part of my domain, I will not like to give any comments further on this. But clearly, the JV never had tractor as part of the discussion.
So no impact on
No impact on tractor at all.
market. Okay. How do you see the exports? Do you want, what is your natural expansion and capex plan for tractor? Because you had one of the best years. You must be having a good cash reserve. You have the capacity to ask for more from your parent company and probably achieve some of the dream projects that you might have for tractor segment. How does it look like? Where do you want to move? Which is going to be your next step?
So, Nabil, to this question, I can only say that it is almost like the tale of two cities for us in terms of exports and overseas. While all FES, which is our farm equipment sector, which is the tractor and implements business, all our global subsidiaries have really done very well this year. And I'm very proud of the way the whole business is being led by various leaders in these countries. Our US business has done very well, Brazil, Japan, Turkey, all our businesses where we have global subsidiaries in those countries have really done very well. And this is the whole FES global subsidiary part. I can't ask for more. Whereas I'm not at all happy with the way our exports have gone ahead this month, not because we did not have enough demand. I mean, we have so much back orders, but because the domestic industry was so strong that we literally had to ration our tractors from exports market. And let me tell you that till Diwali, which was 14th of November, we were not giving any tractors for our export markets. We had these customers waiting with firm orders, payments in the bank, not able to feed them. So I'm very sorry that we had to go through that condition. But post Diwali, we have then prioritized exports over domestic, and now we are able to service all our customers. So if our overseas customers are listening, I just want to apologize for this huge demand that we saw in the domestic market that we were not able to feed the overseas export orders. But now, since middle of November, we have really given priority to exports, and we are catching up and reducing the back orders. So in terms of demand and customer orders, we are doing, Nabil, very well. It was only on the supply side that I was not able to feed them, and I had to prioritize domestic over exports for a few months.
Do you plan to put up additional capacity anytime soon?
Yes, Nabil, we have plans to put additional capacity both in the short term and in the long term. In terms of short term, in the last 1 year, we have put lot of debottlenecking activities and capacity additions inside our current plants by lot of activity engagement of our workmen, which are giving us lot of ideas on Kaizen, on how do you debottleneck operations and put in little bit investments here and there so that you can get more from the current capacity. However, we are already in discussion within our company and with certain agencies to set up a new plant, which we will talk about as we start getting approvals.
So where do you want to set up this plant? And
we have not decided on the exact state, but we are talking to the government of Punjab also to be able to have more discussions with them.
Okay, that's so wonderful.
The new plant that we are talking is coming under the Swaraj brand, Swaraj Business Force.
Okay. So what kind of investment overall you are looking at in the tractor business?
Nabil, still early days. I would say let's meet after a couple of months where I will be able to share more details with you on that.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sikka. Before I conclude, I just want to understand from you for your counterpart in the automobile business, like the car manufacturer or two-wheeler manufacturer, what can they learn from the rural economy and how can they turn the table for their advantage, looking at the growth that the tractor industry has seen? Do you see any of this also contributing to the automobile product also, and what are the area they should focus? How can they leverage the opportunity that are coming in the rural market?
Nabil, my colleagues from the auto industry and from two-wheeler industry are very, very smart leaders. and they completely understand the importance of rural economy as part of our overall GDP. I can tell you for sure that there is no auto OEM, whether it is two-wheeler, three-wheelers, trucks, or passenger vehicles, who is not focusing on rural. So everybody knows the potential of the rural market.
What three high points you want to share with them that they should consider or they should take a note of it?
If I have to give any advice, I would say that put on ground presence in rural areas. I mean, it's very important to be there on the ground. Very difficult to service rural segment by having on ground presence only in the big towns. So I would, if I have to give any advice, I'm sure they are looking at these areas. They are opening dealerships and service centers across the country. But that maybe they can do more. And the more we do, it will create more job opportunities, more penetration into these markets. And obviously, then this business starts doing well for everybody.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sikka, for joining into Auto Big Bite. It was a great discussion. Thank you so much.
Namil, thanks for having me. Pleasure has been all mine. Thank you.